How you doing? Back with another Infinite Flight video. Right now I am in a Korean Airlines A380-800. I'm cruising at flight level 410. I'm getting ready to make my initial descent. This is the first time I've made a video descending from this elevation, so I'm going to go ahead and begin now. Try to do this in stages. My first will be down to flight level 240. I'm flying into Chicago O'Hare. Okay, so I got about 4 minutes to go until I get to my next turn. I want to show you here on the left hand side, if you'll see, when I arrive at Crack, which I have lit up in gold, I'm going to be at flight level 240. When I get to Brewer, I want to be at least at flight level 100. And then when I get to Dange, I want to be at 7,500. And when I get to Pink, right there, I want to be at 5,000. And after that, I'll be capturing the glide slope at about 3,700 feet over here. And there's my pattern into Chicago O'Hare, right there, coming in on runway 32 right. Let me fix my heading. So hopefully, if everything goes right, I won't be rushed on my descent. Let me go ahead and put my seatbelt sign on. I have, as you can see here, if you look down at my the lower part of my screen at the flight parameters, I have been flying for 6 hours and 15 minutes. I have about 220 nautical miles to go before I reach my destination. So this initial descent should take about 17 minutes at 1,000 feet per minute. I'm kind of tired for flying for so long. I'll show you the flight plan. Let me see, I got 2 minutes before I turn. Let me show you the big map. You can see how many times I've gone around. Took off there and headed south, and then I've just been making these really big loops on the Chicago region map. And I think by the time I'm finished, it'll be about a 6 hour and 45 minute flight. It's the longest flight that I've had. Prior to that, I think the longest flight I ever did was in the Cessna 208, which I flew that for about 5 hours, which is cool with Infinite Flight, that you can stay in the air for so long. When I have some downtime like that, I like to just fly around, go to places I usually don't go to. Sometimes I'll land and rest up and then take off again. And as you know, your flight time will just start over once you're back in the air. So we will make this descent. Whenever you're flying at this elevation, the thing I've kind of learned is that it's very important to have your descent well planned out. What is this, 94? Let me go ahead and get turned. Bear with me. Yeah, you have to have your descent planned out way in advance, because if you don't, you're going to be left with not enough space and time to get down. You'll end up having to do go-arounds unless you use some drastic negative vertical speed to get down, which I try to keep my flights close to realistic as I can. After checking with FlightAware, I've noticed that some of the planes, they descend at some ridiculous rates. I didn't know they descend that high. Some times I'll see planes descending at 3,000 feet per minute. There's only been one or two times I was on domestic flights where I had the feeling that we were descending pretty rapidly, because of you can tell, especially when you have a point of reference like a cloud or something like that. And then other times I've been on planes that they descend very, very smoothly. So with this descent here, we've got 10,000 feet before we get to our next step at flight level 240, and as you see here, it says that we've got 23 minutes until we're at our next actually no, we got 10 minutes before we're at our next waypoint, which is the airport. I think that's Baden, and that's right at it gives us a 30-second leeway with at about 1,000 feet per minute between flight level 240 and flight level 100. We're going to be descending at about 2,000 feet per minute, so it'll be sped up drastically there. And I'll start after we get below flight level 28. We'll start slowing the plane down to about 300 knots. If you didn't get to see here is the livery. I'm going to tell you, the artwork in Infinite Flight is just phenomenal. I love the artwork of Infinite Flight. Sometimes descending like this can be tedious. Like I keep, like pink is my reference point for where I want to be for my my final step before I make the final 1,300 feet to get to my the not the waypoint, but the glide slope. And I've got 3 more checks again. That's Brewer, Dange, and there. I will actually crack Brewer and Dange. So I'll just keep checking to see where I am, because it looks like it's a long way, but when you're trying to get down from this elevation, you don't realize how high it is until you start closing in on where you're trying to get to. And then you might have to start really slowing your plane down, or making go-arounds, or increasing your vertical speed. So right now, looking pretty good. Got 7 minutes and 35 seconds, and we have 7,000 feet to go at 1,000 feet per minute. So you can see I had already been doing the math long before I started the recording. Once I had set up my flight plan, I just went backwards, and I picked these points, and I figured out, well, this is how long it's going to take me to get from here to there, and from this elevation to that elevation at this rate per minute, so that it's not so much that I've left myself with little time, even though 30 seconds of leeway isn't a lot of time. Once I get below flight level 240, I'm going to increase as I need to my rate of descent. But you know, these planes can, in real life, they can handle a lot. But like I said, I try to keep my flights realistic. I don't want to go into a nosedive. So we got about 2,000 feet per minute, and this Mach speed is going to change to knot speed. You'll see it if you look at the SPD block. It says Mach 0.83. Once in about at flight right when it drops below flight level 280, it's going to once it drops below that, it's going to change. Alright. And we are right on point. As you see, we have a little time slippage. We got 5,000 feet to go, and now we got 5 minutes to go. And 800 feet. Watch the SPD block, the speed block. This is something you need to be aware of, because this is when you start setting your Mach speed when you are going to cruise altitude. You can get your specifications offline for whatever plane you're flying, whatever commercial jet you're flying, so you know what to set the Mach speed at. I was cruising at 0.85 for this flight. On the descent, I'm descending at 0.83, and below 24, flight level 24, I'll be descending at 300 knots. And watch, it's about to happen. 30 feet. And it'll pop up in a second. There. So now that it's popped up, I reduce this. There. To 300 knots. Okay. And so now I'll just let it continue to descend. We'll check the map to see how far we've got to go. Right there. And then we'll look at the time. So remember, I said we have to go from Crack to Brewer, and we got to lose 14,000 feet. So we look at how much time that is. It's going to take roughly 7 minutes. So at 2,000 feet per minute, that's 14,000 feet. Plus we have approximately 45 seconds that'll be left over in there. So that's good time there. So once we get to Brewer, we'll be right at 10,000 feet. And of course, as I get down, I'll have to lose, as I'm getting down, I'll have to lose 50 knots of speed. I would try to lose 60 knots of speed, get down to about 240 knots. Two minutes, 2,000 feet to go. And remember, as a beginner, this is easy if you're good at math. You know, you can do, let me go to the big map. You can set up, see that entry, that flight pattern into the airport? You can set those up yourself. The most important thing is that you're good at math and whatnot. I'm horrible at math. You know, when I first started flying simulators and I started reading about this stuff, I couldn't figure out what they were talking about to save my life. About you move forward three nautical miles or for every 1,000 feet that you drop, and you need, I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know what they were talking about. It was through the actual using the applications and continuing to make a lot of mistakes that I was able to finally figure out what they were talking about. So here I'm going to slow my descent down. I've got a minute here, so I'll let it just come into this last 500 feet nice and smoothly, and start preparing for my next turn. So that's going to be at 145 degrees. Let's go ahead and start this turn. I'll just make it kind of gentle. Got about 200 more feet to go. I'll see if this doesn't activate. I'm going to activate it myself. There. So that leg is activated. And passing by Wreck. And we will begin our next descent. I'll get this down to 10,000, start increasing. And give it a little trim. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really understand trim too much. And turn, finish this turn to get back on track. I wish there was a way to lock the screen so it wouldn't do that right there. You saw the screen just moved. I hate that. And get this down to 10,000. Oops. Alright. So I'm going to let this go. As we get close to flight level 120, I'm going to start slowing this plane down. If I'm not mistaken, you can use the spoilers below 270 knots, so that's what I'll do. Let's check the next turn. Okay, we have 10,000 feet to go. I could actually bleed off another 3 knots because I only want my indicated airspeed at 300 knots. So I could knock off another 4 knots to get that down. But sometimes the speed that you have set, it isn't enough either coming down or it isn't enough going up. Like when you're ascending on your initial climb to cruise and you get to Mach speed, sometimes once you get to cruise you have to set your Mach speed at 0.88 in order for it to read 0.85. Let's check our plane. Start slowing him down. Alright, so we're coming up on another turn. 6,000 feet to go. Sometimes the autopilot does not give you your next turn order that early. Sometimes they come really early and other times they come late. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is try to get this indicated airspeed down below and hit that and start trying to slow this plane down since we're coming up on flight level 100. Coming up on Brewer. Jump out, take a look. So you see the spoilers are on flight mode, and then I'll put this at 245. So we have 3 minutes, 1,500 feet. Once this gets to once these last 200 feet go off, I'm going to go ahead and bring the nose up, let that settle down a bit. And then I'm going to check the map to see where I am. Okay, so we're coming up on Brewer, and when we get to Dange, which is there, we want to be at flight level 750. Let's see here, 7,005, which we'll probably get, we're going to be down at our speeds. Disarm that, and we're going to turn on the landing lights, jump out the plane so you can see that the landing lights are on. Let's jump out the plane one more time and see if we can see anything. Again, it's just a little fuzzy. I think we're over water. Okay. Alright, so our next step, let's go ahead and let's see how much time we have before we get to Dange. 4 minutes. And let's go ahead and drop down to 7.5. And we'll drop down at 1,000 feet per minute. Back this up a little bit. I don't want the plane to overspeed. Drop our speed down. Overturned a little bit. And I believe we're over water. Let me go to the big map. I'm not that familiar with Chicago. Alright, so we got another turn coming up. 500 feet before we get to, and let's go ahead and make this turn to 240. And let's check where we are. It's a Monday. for about 5 minutes till Monday, which that's where we must be at our 3700, which Monday is the waypoint right after pink. Pink is where I'm saying we need to be at 5,000 and no higher. So we're coming up on Dange, and as you see, we're coming up on 7,500. Pink is up there, so once we get to Dange, you see it right there. Let me go ahead and turn this a little more to because it's telling me to for one thing, and then I'll go ahead and start this next turn because it's going to activate. Okay. Let me increase this size, that'll help. We'll go ahead and drop this down to 5,000. Get our speed down. You see, this keeps you pretty busy with all the things you have to do. And now we're being given another turn to 310. Let's check the map. There's pink. Oops. Let's add some flaps. Get the speed down. We're going to go ahead and turn this down to 3,700. That's our entry for the glide slope. And I'll go ahead and get this back to 1,000. I think I'll go ahead and lock this in. An alarm going off, 32 right. So that should stay locked in there. Alright, so we're coming up on pink. We're just below 5,000 and coming up on 3,700. And we're going to have to make a turn, a slight right to 324. And up 321. We'll leave the flaps there for now. Okay, so let me decrease this. And we're doing good. And we're going to put the big map on now. Get our speed down. And as you see, we're starting to capture the glide slope. So once we captured it, what I'm going to end up doing is zeroing that out. Get our speed down. Add a little trim. What in the world just happened? Let me see if I can get this corrected. I don't know what just happened. But my autopilot just shut off. I'll be able to correct it. I didn't lose too much. I'll add some flaps there. I'm still centered, so my goodness. You know, my fingers are kind of big, but I probably tapped the autopilot button. There's our runway right there. Get our speed down. Gear. I wish I knew more about the trim for infinite flight and how to set the trim. I know to make it a positive number because that brings the nose up. So let's take a look at the plane. So it's got a good attitude. It's not too nose down. And at 12 we're going to go ahead and bring this there. We're going to bring the flaps full, and we're getting ready to take off the autopilot right now. So I'm going to fly it in from here. As you see, our indicated airspeed is at 146, which is a little fast, and we're a little low.
200.
I had calibrated. I do not want to fly all this way and then blow my landing. I cannot believe my
10.
Look at that. Look where I just landed. That is horrible. I done flew nearly 7 hours just to blow my landing. Throw the brakes on. Alright, so I'm back with you. I had to pause for a minute. So let's go ahead and rewind. And you know, this here has happened to me before, where I'm coming in on landing and I start losing flight control. Like, I can't keep the plane in the air. And let me see how far away I am. Ain't no sense in playing it too far back. right about there. You can already see how low I am, because I don't have the plane that heavy, weight and balance. So you see there, it's well below the maximum landing weight. So let's play it. I think I landed in a freaking, on the grass, or at least on the threshold. Here I'm fighting to keep the plane in the air, and there, landed, bouncing and off to the left. Okay, well, that was a extremely long flight. So primarily what I wanted to show you on that was the descent stages for coming down from flight level 410. Just remember, the best thing to do is to bring it down in stages as slow as you can. Try to get, you can look online for the rate of descent and climb rates for the whatever plane you're going to be utilizing. I use for flight from flight level 410 to flight level 240, I was at 1,000 feet per minute. Then the flight level 100, 2,000 feet per minute, and then back to about 1,000 feet per minute, all the way down to capturing the glide slope. Had a couple of hiccups with losing my autopilot and then landing short of the runway. But other than that, extremely long flight. Let me break right here and go to my map view so you can see all of these waypoints that I went through. So that's where I took off, picked up, popped me out of O'Hare, and then just went through all of these waypoints all the way through O'Hare. It's 6 hours and 51 minutes of flight time. Alright, so try a few marathon flights at high elevation and see how you like it. And that's all I have for you. Have a nice evening.